The Grammar of Us. Chapter 1. They had agreed, years earlier, in language that sounded casual but wasn't, that they would never meet like this. Yet here she was, seated in the back row of the lecture hall, coat folded neatly beside her, as if she belonged to the architecture. He paused mid-sentence, felt the room shift, and understood that whatever came next would not be teachable. "I'll stop there," Daniel said, though he hadn't finished the thought. He closed the book in his hands, slower than necessary, and placed it on the lectern. The students waited, polite and uncertain, pins hovering as if permission might still arrive. "That's all for today," he added. His voice sounded calm. It surprised him. Chairs scraped back. Backpacks were zipped. Someone thanked him. Another asked about the paper deadline, and he answered automatically, already watching the back row empty itself until only one person remained. She did not look at him. She was studying the exit sign, red and humming faintly, as if it might give instructions. Daniel gathered his notes. He stacked them twice, then slid them into his bag. When he finally looked up, she was standing. "Hello, Daniel," she said. "Hello, Margaret." They did not move toward each other. The room felt suddenly formal, like a place rented for an event neither had planned to attend. "I didn't know if you were still teaching," she said. "I am," he replied. "For now." She smiled at that. Not kindly, not unkindly, just accurately. "I almost didn't come," she said. "I almost didn't notice you," he said. And then, because it sounded wrong, added, I noticed immediately." "I know." They stood there, the silence between them not awkward but dense, as if it had mass. Outside the tall windows, late afternoon light tilted across the quad, students crossing with the unearned confidence of the young. "You were very good," she said finally. "Still, thank you. You make it sound simple," she said. "The argument, the way you say it." "It is simple," he said. "It just isn't easy." She nodded, as if that answer belonged to something else entirely. "Are you leaving now?" she asked. "I was planning to," he said. "May I walk with you?" He hesitated, then gestured toward the door. "Of course." They moved down the aisle together, their steps slightly out of sync. He noticed this and then told himself not to. The hallway outside was narrow and bright, lined with posters for lectures that had already happened. As they walked, their shoulders almost touched. "Almost. I didn't expect to see you here," he said. "I didn't expect to be here," she replied. "But I was in town." "For long?" "That depends." On the stairs, she paused. He waited. "I should say," she began, then stopped. "No, I shouldn't." "You can," he said, "if you want." She looked at him then, really looked, and he felt the old, unreasonable sensation of being examined and found provisional. "You look well," she said. "So do you." "That's polite," she said. "It's also true." They reached the bottom of the stairs. The building's front doors stood open, letting in a draft that smelled faintly of rain. "Do you have time for coffee?" she asked. "I do," he said too quickly. They crossed the quad together. The cafe on the corner had not changed, which he found oddly moving. The same chip tables. The same chalkboard menu written by someone who believed in italics. They ordered without discussion. He remembered her drink. She noticed. "You remembered," she said. "I remember many things," he said. They sat near the window. Outside, a group of students laughed too loudly, as if volume could substitute for certainty. "So," she said, wrapping her hands around the mug. "This is your life now." "This is part of it," he said. "And the rest?" He smiled. "The rest is quieter." "Do you like that?" "I'm learning to." She watched him for a moment. "You're retiring," she said. "Soon." "You always said you wouldn't." "I always said many things." She laughed softly. It sounded the way it used to, like a decision reached gently. "And you?" he asked. "Are you still?" "No," she said. "I left last year." "That surprises me." It surprised everyone. "Do you miss it?" She considered. "I miss the good parts. I don't miss pretending the rest were temporary." He nodded. "That's fair." They drank their coffee. The silence returned, but this time it felt companionable, almost rehearsed. "Why did you come?" he asked. She set her mug down carefully. "I had a question," she said. "And?" "I didn't know who else to ask." "That's never stopped you before." She smiled, then looked away. "I was cleaning out a box," she said. "Old papers. Notes. Things I should have thrown out years ago. And I found a letter," she said. "One I never sent." He felt his chest tighten, not painfully, just enough to notice. Was it to me? He asked. Yes. Do you still have it? I do. Why didn't you send it? She met his eyes. You know why. He did. They had been careful then. Careful with words. Careful with time. Careful with everything except the part that mattered. What did it say? He asked. She hesitated. I don't remember exactly. That's convenient. I remember how it felt, she said. Like saying it would make it real. And I wasn't ready for that. And now I'm tired of carrying it. He leaned back in his chair. The cafe's hum filled the space between them. You could still send it, he said. She shook her head. No, it belongs to the past. Does it? She did not answer. Outside, the sky darkened slightly, clouds gathering without commitment. Do you ever think about that year? She asked. Every day, he said, and surprised himself with the honesty. She closed her eyes briefly. So do I, she said. They sat with that. I should apologize, she said. For what? For leaving the way I did. You left the only way you could. That's generous. It's accurate. She studied him again, as if checking for irony. You were always good at forgiveness, she said. I was good at avoidance, he said. It looks similar from a distance. She smiled. You're still teaching, she said. You're still avoiding retirement. Perhaps, he said. And you're still asking questions you already know the answers to. She laughed, then grew serious. Daniel, she said, if I asked you something now, would you answer honestly? He did not answer immediately. I would try, he said. She reached into her bag and took out an envelope. It was yellowed slightly, the edges soft. This is it, she said. He stared at it. I never opened it again, she said. I wanted to remember it as unfinished. And now, I want to know if it still matters. She slid the envelope across the table toward him. It stopped just short of his hand. You want me to read it? He asked. I want you to decide whether you should. He looked at the envelope, then at her. What happens if I do? He asked. She smiled sadly. Then we'll know, she said. And if I don't, then we'll keep pretending we already do. He picked up the envelope. It was lighter than he expected. May I? He asked. She nodded. He opened it carefully, as if the paper might resist. Inside was a single page, folded once. His name was written at the top, precise and unmistakable. He read silently. The cafe disappeared. The years compressed. When he finished, he did not look up. Well, she asked. It's very you, he said. That's not an answer. It's honest. She waited. You were right, he said finally. About everything. She exhaled, a sound halfway between relief and grief. And now, she asked. He folded the letter and placed it back in the envelope. Now, he said, I don't know. She smiled, and this time it was gentle. That's all I wanted, she said. They stood to leave. Outside, the first drops of rain began to fall, tentative but insistent. Are you staying in town? He asked. Yes, she said. For a few days. Would you like to? He stopped. She raised an eyebrow. Yes. Would you like to have dinner? He asked. Not tonight. Or tonight. I don't know. She considered him, really considered him, and he felt the familiar, dangerous hope stir. Tomorrow, she said. Tomorrow would be better. He nodded. Tomorrow, he repeated. They parted at the edge of the quad. She walked away without looking back. Daniel stood there longer than necessary, the envelope warm in his hand, aware that he had crossed a threshold without knowing where it led. Behind him, the lecture hall lights clicked off one by one. And for the first time in years, the future felt unreasonably close. Chapter 2. That night, Daniel did not sleep well, though he would not have called it insomnia. Insomnia suggested struggle. This was something quieter, a kind of watchfulness. He lay in bed listening to the familiar sounds of the house, the radiator ticking, the refrigerator cycling on and off, each noise a reassurance that the world was still arranged as expected. Margaret's letter sat on the desk in his study. He had placed it there deliberately, neither hidden nor displayed. He told himself he would not read it again. He did not promise himself that. At 3 a.m, he got up and poured a glass of water. He stood at the kitchen window, barefoot on the cold tile, and watched rain slide down the glass in uneven lines. Tomorrow, he thought. The word felt provisional, like a placeholder in a sentence not yet written. He returned to bed and slept for an hour. Perhaps 2. In the morning, he dressed carefully, though he had nowhere to go. Retirement, or the approach of it, had altered his sense of occasion. Clothes now felt like signals sent to no one. Still, he chose a clean shirt. Habit, he told himself, was a form of dignity. He spent the day avoiding the letter. He answered emails. He graded a small stack of papers he had been postponing. He took a walk around the neighborhood, nodding to people whose names he did not know but whose routines he recognized. At noon, he made soup and ate it standing up. By late afternoon, he had run out of small tasks. He went into the study and sat at the desk. The envelope waited. He opened it and read the letter again, slower this time, noticing the restraint in the language, the way Margaret had circled what she could not quite say. It was not a declaration. It was a question disguised as an explanation. When he finished, he folded it carefully and returned it to the envelope. He did not feel resolved. He felt addressed. At 6, his phone rang. "Hello," he said. "Daniel," Margaret said. "I hope this isn't too early." "No," he said. "It's fine. I was just confirming tomorrow," she said. "If that still works." "It does," he said. "Yes." 7, she asked. "There's a place on Maple," he said. "Quiet. If you like." "I do," she said. "Quiet sounds perfect." They hung up. He stood for a moment, phone still in his hand, as if waiting for further instruction. The restaurant was dimly lit, the kind of place that trusted its patrons to speak softly. Daniel arrived early. He chose a table near the wall, where the noise receded slightly. He ordered a glass of wine and did not touch it. Margaret arrived exactly on time. She wore a dark coat and carried herself with the same careful assurance he remembered. When she saw him, she smiled, and something in his chest loosened. "Hello," she said. "Hello," he replied. They sat. "You look nervous," she said. "I am," he said. "That's reassuring," she said. They ordered. The waiter left them alone. "So," she said, "this is dinner." "This is dinner," he agreed. They smiled at each other, then grew serious. "How was your day?" she asked. "Uneventful," he said. "Yours?" "Reflective," she said. He nodded. "That seems appropriate." They spoke of small things at first. The weather, the town, mutual acquaintances whose lives had continued in parallel without intersecting. Daniel found himself listening more than speaking, attuned to the cadence of her voice, the way she paused before certain words. "You always did that," he said suddenly. "Did what?" she asked. "Pause," he said, as if you were giving the sentence time to decide. She smiled. "I like to think of it as courtesy." "To the sentence?" "To myself," she said. The food arrived. They ate slowly. "Why now?" he asked finally. She set her fork down. "I told you," she said. "I found the letter." "Yes," he said. "But letters don't age on their own." She considered that. "I suppose I reached a point," she said, "where the future began to feel finite." "That happens," he said. "It does," she agreed. "And when it does, certain questions stop feeling indulgent." He watched her hands as she spoke. They were steady. "I didn't come to disrupt your life," she said. "I know," he said. "I came to see whether it still existed," she said. "Ours, I mean. In any form." "And?" he asked. She smiled faintly. "I'm still looking." He leaned back in his chair. "I never stopped thinking about you," he said. "I know," she said gently. "You were never subtle." "That's not true," he said. "I was very subtle." She laughed. "You were consistent." "That's different." They ate in silence for a moment. "Do you regret it?" she asked. "What?" he said. "Not leaving," she said. "Staying." He thought of his house, his routines, the way time had folded itself neatly around him. "No," he said. "I regret the things I didn't say." She nodded. "Me too." The waiter cleared their plates. Dessert menus arrived. They declined. Outside, the rain had stopped. The streetlights reflected on the wet pavement, softening the edges of everything. "Do you want to walk?" she asked. "Yes," he said. They walked slowly, side by side, their coats brushing occasionally. Neither moved away. "I used to imagine this," she said. "What?" he asked. "Running into you," she said. "Somewhere ordinary. And I never imagined what we'd say," she said. "Only that it would matter." He stopped walking. She turned to face him. "It does," he said. She searched his face. "Daniel," she said, "if we do this, whatever this is, it won't be simple." "I know," he said. "And it may not be kind," she said. "I know," he said again. She studied him, as if weighing something invisible. "I don't want to be a complication," she said. "You're not," he said. "You're a question." She smiled at that. They resumed walking. At her hotel, they stopped. The building was unremarkable, its entrance brightly lit. "This is me," she said. "Yes," he said. They stood there, neither reaching for the door. "Tomorrow?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "If you want." "I do," he said. She leaned forward and kissed him on the cheek. It was brief, careful, unmistakable. "Good night, Daniel," she said. "Good night," he replied. He watched her go inside. He did not move until the door closed behind her. At home, he sat in the dark living room, coat still on. The day replayed itself in fragments. Her pause before answering, the letters weighed in his hand, the kiss that was not a promise but not nothing. He went into the study and took out the letter once more. He read the last line again, the one he had avoided. "If you ever want to know whether this could have been different, I will answer." Daniel folded the letter and placed it back in the envelope. He turned off the light and went upstairs. In bed, he stared at the ceiling, aware that tomorrow was no longer a placeholder. It was approaching. Chapter 3. The next morning arrived without ceremony. Light filled the kitchen the way it always did, angled and unambitious. Daniel stood at the counter, coffee cooling beside him, listening to the house settle into its daytime silence. Nothing had changed. That, he thought, was the problem. He had planned to spend the morning reading. He had even selected the book the night before and left it open on the table, a finger marking the page. Instead, he found himself wandering from room to room, as if checking on something he could not name. At 10, he sat down and wrote Margaret's name on a legal pad. He stared at it for a long time, then crossed it out, not aggressively but with care. At 11, his phone rang. "Daniel," Margaret said. "I hope I'm not interrupting." "No," he said. "I was waiting." "For what?" she asked. He smiled. "I'm not sure." She laughed softly. "I was thinking we could walk. If that still feels agreeable." "It does," he said. "Where?" "The river path," she said. "Unless you prefer something less exposed." "That sounds fine," he said. "When?" "Now," she said, and he heard the question beneath the word. "I'll be there," he said. The path ran parallel to the water, shaded by old trees whose branches bent inward, as if eavesdropping. Margaret was already there when he arrived, standing near the railing, watching the river move past without interest. "Hello," she said. "Hello," he replied. They began walking without deciding which direction to take. Their steps found a rhythm quickly, familiar without being rehearsed. "I used to come here when I was overwhelmed," she said. "Something about the water. It refuses to be impressed." "It does its job," he said. "Yes," she said. "No matter who's watching." They walked in silence for a while. The sound of water filled the space between them, carrying what neither offered. "I was thinking about your letter," he said finally. "I thought you might be," she said. "There's a restraint in it," he said. "You were always good at that." "At not saying things?" she asked. "At saying them sideways," he said. She smiled. "Directness can be overrated. Only when it's premature," he said. She glanced at him. "Do you think this is premature?" He considered the question. "I think it's late," he said. She stopped walking. He stopped too. "Late doesn't mean wrong," she said. "No," he agreed. "But it does mean complicated." She leaned against the railing. The river reflected light unevenly, broken by the occasional ripple. "Do you remember the conference in Chicago?" she asked. "Yes," he said. "You were wearing that ridiculous scarf." "You loved that scarf," she said. "I tolerated it," he corrected. She laughed. "That was the first time I realized I was in trouble," she said. "In trouble," he repeated. "With you," she said. "You asked me a question I couldn't answer without changing something." "What was it?" he asked. "You asked whether I was happy," she said. "Not satisfied. Not successful. Happy." "And?" he asked. "I changed the subject," she said. He nodded. "You were very good at that." They resumed walking. "I thought about you when I left," she said. "More than I should have." "I thought about you when I stayed," he said. "Which may be worse." She looked at him, her expression unreadable. "Do you ever wish you'd chosen differently?" she asked. He took a breath. "I wish I'd chosen deliberately," he said, "instead of letting things harden around me." She nodded slowly. "That's the part I'm trying to avoid now." They reached a bench and sat. The wood was cool beneath them. "I don't know what I want," she said. "Only that I don't want to pretend anymore." "I don't want to pretend either," he said. "Then what do we do?" she asked. He smiled faintly. "We talk." "About what?" she asked. "About everything we avoided," he said. "And then we see what survives." She watched the river again. "That sounds exhausting," she said. "Yes," he said, "but honest." They sat quietly. A cyclist passed behind them, the sound brief and insistent. "Can I ask you something difficult?" she said. "You can," he replied. "Are you lonely?" she asked. The question landed gently. That was what made it dangerous. "Yes," he said. She nodded. I thought so. And you? He asked. Yes, she said. But differently. How? He asked. I miss being known in real time, she said. Not remembered. Not admired. Known. He felt something shift inside him, subtle but decisive. I know you, he said. She smiled sadly. You knew me. I know you now, he insisted. Or I want to. She turned toward him fully. That's the part that frightens me, she said. Why? He asked. Because wanting has consequences, she said. And I'm not sure I have room for them. He considered this. I have room, he said. She held his gaze. Do you? She asked. Before he could answer, his phone buzzed in his pocket. He frowned, then checked it. I'm sorry, he said. I should take this. She nodded. Of course. He stepped a few feet away. Yes, he said. There was a pause. His expression changed, not dramatically, but enough for Margaret to notice. I understand, he said. Yes. I'll come by later. He ended the call and returned to the bench. Everything all right? She asked. Yes, he said. It's just my sister. She needs something. She studied him. Now. Soon, he said. I'm sorry. Don't be, she said. This isn't a performance. He smiled. I forget that sometimes. They stood. Will I see you again today? She asked. He hesitated. I hope so. That's not an answer, she said gently. I don't want to promise what I can't keep, he said. She nodded. Fair. They walked back toward the entrance together. At dinner last night, she said. You said I wasn't a complication. You're not, he said. She stopped and faced him. Then what am I? She asked. He looked at her, really looked, and felt the weight of the moment settle. You're an interruption, he said. The kind that changes the sentence. She smiled. I've always liked grammar. They parted again, more carefully this time. As she walked away, she did not look back. Neither did he. That evening, Daniel sat at his sister's kitchen table, listening as she spoke about practical things, appointments, repairs, decisions deferred too long. He answered where he could. He nodded where he couldn't. But his mind kept returning to the river, to the word interruption. When he got home, it was late. The house greeted him with its familiar quiet. He hung his coat and stood for a moment in the hallway, uncertain. He went into the study and opened the drawer where he kept things he had not yet decided about. Inside were old photographs, a program from a lecture series long concluded, and a second envelope he had not touched in years. He took it out and sat down. It was addressed to Margaret. His handwriting was younger, less careful. He had written it the night she left town, the words urgent and unresolved. He had never sent it. He had told himself it was enough to have written it. He read it now. The sentences were imperfect. The feeling was not. He folded the letter and placed it beside hers on the desk. Two artifacts of restraint. Two records of delay. His phone buzzed. A message from Margaret. I keep thinking about what you said. About interruptions. He stared at the screen. I don't want to interrupt you if the sentence is already complete, she wrote. Daniel sat very still. Outside, the street was quiet. Somewhere, a dog barked once and then stopped. He typed, then erased. Typed again. I don't think it is, he wrote. He sent the message and set the phone down, his hand trembling slightly. A moment passed. Then another. The phone buzzed again. Then we should talk, she wrote. Soon. Daniel closed his eyes. Yes, he said aloud to the empty room. He looked at the two letters on the desk, side by side, and felt the slow, unmistakable sense that something long deferred was finally asking to be answered. Not later. Now. Chapter 4. They met at Margaret's hotel lobby just after noon. The light there was too bright, the furniture chosen for endurance rather than comfort. Daniel arrived first and stood near a column, hands folded, as if waiting for instruction. When she appeared, he felt the brief, disorienting relief of recognition. She wore a pale scarf this time, knotted loosely, and he wondered if she had chosen it deliberately. He did not ask. Hello, she said. Hello, he replied. They did not linger. She gestured toward the door, and they stepped outside into a day that could not decide what it wanted to be. The air was cool, but not cold. The sky was open, undecided. Where? She asked. Anywhere quiet, he said. She nodded. I thought as much. They walked toward the older part of town, past houses that had learned to age without apology. The sidewalks were uneven. Daniel found himself adjusting his pace without thinking. She noticed. You still do that, she said. Do what? He asked. Accommodate, she said. He smiled faintly. It's a reflex. They reached a small park and sat on a bench beneath a tree whose leaves had begun to thin. The ground was damp. Someone had been there earlier, judging by the indentation in the grass. "This feels rehearsed," she said. "What does?" he asked. "Us sitting on benches," she said. "Talking around things." He considered that. "What would feel unrehearsed?" he asked. She looked at him, searching. "Truth," she said. He nodded. "Then we should begin there." They sat quietly for a moment, as if waiting for permission. "I kept thinking about your message," she said. "About the sentence not being complete. It felt true," he said. "Even knowing what it might cost?" she asked. "Yes," he said. "Especially then." She inhaled slowly. "I'm leaving in 3 days," she said. "I know," he said. "I didn't come here to stay," she said. "I know," he repeated. "But," she said and stopped. "But," he prompted. "But I also didn't come here to confirm that nothing mattered," she said. "I needed to know whether what we avoided was still alive." "And?" he asked. She met his eyes. "It is," she said. He felt the words settle, not like a declaration, but like a fact. "Then we have a problem," he said. She smiled sadly. "We always did." They watched a couple pass with a dog. The dog pulled eagerly, unconcerned with context. "I don't want to be careful anymore," she said. "Careful is how we survived," he said. "Yes," she said. "But it's also how we deferred." He nodded. "That's true." She turned toward him fully. "Daniel," she said, "if I stay longer, if I allow this to become something, I need to know you're not just responding to interruption." "I'm not," he said quickly. She raised a hand. "Let me finish." He nodded. "I need to know you're choosing," she said. "Not reminiscing. Not correcting an old mistake." He listened. "I'm choosing," he said. "Now." She studied him. "Why?" she asked. He thought of the letters, of the river, of the word lonely spoken aloud. "Because I'm no longer interested in coherence that excludes the truth," he said. She laughed softly. "You always did have a way with abstractions." "It's how I approach fear," he said. She reached out then and took his hand. It was a small gesture. It changed everything. "You're shaking," she said. "So are you," he replied. They sat like that, hands joined, the world continuing without instruction. After a moment, she withdrew her hand. "I want to show you something," she said. "Now?" he asked. "Yes," she said, "before I lose my nerve." They stood and walked back toward the center of town. She led this time, her pace decisive. "Where are we going?" he asked. "My hotel," she said. He stopped walking. She turned. "This isn't what you think," she said. "Or maybe it is. But it isn't careless." He considered her face, the steadiness in it. "All right," he said. The room was spare, the bed neatly made, the curtains half drawn. A single suitcase stood open on the luggage rack. She moved to the desk and opened a folder. "These are my notes," she said, "from the last few years." "Notes for what?" he asked. "For leaving," she said. She handed him a sheaf of papers. He took them, confused. "I thought if I could articulate it," she said, "I could live with it." He scanned a page, then another. Marginalia in her familiar hand. Questions, doubts, names, some crossed out. "There's a section about you," she said. He looked up. "I didn't know whether to be ashamed of that," she said. "I decided not to be." He read silently. "You never reached out," he said. "No," she said. "I needed to know whether the feeling would exhaust itself." "And did it?" he asked. She shook her head. It clarified. He set the papers down. "This is a great deal of faith," he said. "It's desperation," she said. "They're close cousins." He walked to the window, then back. "What are you asking me to do?" he asked. She met his gaze. "Stay present," she said. "For the next 3 days. Not as an idea. As a person." "And after that?" he asked. She smiled faintly. "After that, we'll know more than we do now." He nodded. "I can do that," he said. She exhaled. "Good," she said. They stood in the small room, the air charged but restrained. "Come sit," she said. They sat on the edge of the bed, careful not to touch. "I don't want to rush," she said. "I don't want to wait forever," he replied. She smiled. "That's fair." She turned toward him. "You can still say no," she said. "I know," he said. She leaned forward and kissed him. It was not tentative. It was not hurried. It was exact. When they pulled apart, he rested his forehead against hers. "This changes things," she said. "Yes," he said. She closed her eyes. "I'm afraid," she said. "So am I," he said. They stayed like that for a long moment, suspended. A knock sounded at the door. They froze. "Housekeeping," a voice called. Margaret laughed softly. the sound breaking the tension without dissolving it. "One moment," she called. She stood and opened the door just enough to answer, then closed it again. Daniel exhaled. "Reality has a way of intruding," he said. "Yes," she said. "It always has." She sat back down. "3 days," she said. "3 days," he echoed. Outside, a siren passed in the distance, urgent and unresolved. They sat in silence, aware that they had crossed another threshold, one that could not be explained away as memory or accident. And neither of them yet knew what would be required to cross the next.